Now let's hear some more insights, and we're joined from Beirut by Makram Rabah, an author and assistant professor at the American University of Beirut. His book, Conflict on Mount Lebanon, The Druze, the Maronites, and Collective Memory, covers collective identities and the Lebanese civil war. Welcome to our program, Professor. Now,
good evening.
The second round of anti-polio vaccinations will follow, ideally within 4 weeks. What do you think the chances are for another round of humanitarian pauses?
Well, certainly what we are experiencing right now in Gaza is a great tragedy. And talking about the possibility of a de-escalation to give people their basic human needs is actually more tragic. And here the problem is not being reactive, but rather what is needed is being proactive, because this so-called disease, the polio disease, is somewhat of what we call medieval diseases which have been contained globally. The problem is not the disease itself, but the fact that these people are living in very dire conditions, particularly the sanitation and water, and more so the fact that the entirety of the healthcare system, which was quite impressive for Gaza, have been destroyed throughout the war. So rather than hoping for another round of de-escalation and a potential ceasefire, I think one should address the cause itself, and we have to reconstruct the healthcare system, not only to cater for these kids, which we might have been able to tackle the polio vaccination. We have other more important and more lethal and deadly diseases which the people of Gaza are facing, unfortunately, at the moment.
It is a huge challenge, isn't it? And how might current diplomatic efforts, including the implementation of a UN resolution, impact the potential for a broader regional conflict?
Well, whatever the UN are trying to do at the moment is not enough, simply because none of the warring factions, be it the Israeli government under Netanyahu or even Hamas under the Sinwar, are actually hoping for an immediate ceasefire. Although they say it publicly, I think the way they are going about it proves that all of them are waiting for the results of the upcoming presidential elections in the US. And Iran, at the end of the day, does not really want to implicate itself in a regional war. So the reason why we are not going to a regional war has nothing to do with on the ground in Gaza, but rather everyone is hoping that the war will eventually turn to their side. And this is actually very tragic, because at the moment, innocent people have paid for their life, and here I'm talking about civilians. And if we continue to do this, more children. You have mentioned that 90% have been targeted, but the 10% who remain untackled by this polio vaccination is also an alarming figure.
Professor Makram Rabah, thank you so much for sharing with us your analysis.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.